to the letter. Forever. Yeah. Heartbreak, terror, what the error is. Never needed a shrink, I use my music as my therapist. Trying to follow the path of the grace, minus mistakes. Cause in life you only get one take, you heard me. Game over, lights off, hang up your jersey. Beat the odds like magic, cause I'm so James worthy. Tangled in this web called fame and its pursuits break free.
What's going on, guys? My name is El Dinero, and welcome to episode 118 of The Midnight Hour. I don't really have too much to say in this intro, but I will leave the links to the opening track and the closing track in the description where you can check them out. They're all available on Spotify and things like that, and hopefully nobody sues me for having them in here. This is not the usual ensemble of myself, Jack Brown, and Loosemore. This will be myself and somebody who's never been on the show before, so I don't really know. It's really hard for me to tell what you people like. So if you like this, fucking leave a like or tweet me or let me know or whatever, or just, you know, show it some other way. Refresh the page like 10 times so it looks like thousands of people listened. I don't know. But this is a really, really good conversation. I feel like it's always a risk when you have a conversation with somebody whose voice you've never heard before. You don't know what kind of chemistry you're going to have. You don't know how what kind of conversation you're going to have. I truly went into this without a single notion of what to talk about, and it turned into like a really cool conversation. I'm really happy that I had it. The guest on the episode, his name is Sven. Show him some love. If this is something you think you would be interested in doing, I mean, let me know in the YouTube comment section, or do whatever. I don't know. It is what it is. So welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I hope that you enjoy it, and here's the episode.
Can't break you. The feeling when you're actually everything you say you are. Own songs. Same swan song. Daddy hit mommy. Mommy left daddy so long. Granddaddy passed. I'm hugging on granny. Hold on. I ain't seen nobody cry in so long. I sit back and wonder how everybody is so strong. Cause I just don't wanna be forgotten. Just wanna stack my dough and split the profits with my partners. This rap's become monotonous, going in a circle, so it forces me to go in early as my curfew in high school. Yeah, I was the butt of some jokes. Roll my stress up, let it simmer down in the smoke. In the war against whack shit, I'm on the front line. Now I'm in front of the line, they can't front on mine. Everything's by design, everything's for a reason. Now we in this thing, there ain't the slightest chance I'm leaving.
No power in the verse can stop me.
I'm joined today by my biggest fan. No, just kidding. I'm joined today by a listener who, from my memory, like from what I have read on my Twitter mentions over the last few years, this guy seems to be quite a long time subscriber of mine. So I'm joined today by Sven. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, this is the first time I've actually had like a listener on the podcast. I finally decided to let one of you weirdos on. Nah, I'm just kidding.
To be honest,
yes,
I did prefer the title long-term fan.
Oh yeah, really?
Possibly fanboy.
I don't know what to... I had this really surreal moment about 4 weeks ago. I was at lunch with my team, and we were walking back from the restaurant to my office, and some guy stopped me on the street, and he goes, "Excuse me, can you say something to me?" And I was like, I looked at him and I was like, what the fuck does this guy... Because like I looked at him and I was like, he's clearly coming from the gym or something. Like this,
yeah.
He looks like he could destroy me. And I was like what? And he goes, "Are you El Dinero?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then he hugged me, and he was like,
Jesus.
Man, I'm like, I don't know, I actually can't remember what he said, because it was a really weird moment for me, because I went from thinking I was about to get my head kicked in by some drug addict to like being drowned in adoration by a listener or a fan. So
great.
Yeah, and then everyone from work was like, "What the fuck? Do you know that guy?" And I was like, "No, I don't even know him." So, but,
do they know like about everything else you do on the side next to work?
A couple of people, like, it's on my CV, so my my superiors know, and I mentioned it to... I work with a guy who I used to work with in a previous job, so I consider him to be a friend. and he knows about it. But now everyone knows because I had to be like, yeah,
You
no,
had the celebrity moment.
yeah,
Damn.
I'm famous on the internet, so
Well, like about a year ago, now, like 13 months ago, I was in London, and you weren't in London during March, were you? Around like the 21st?
of 2018.
No, 18.
No, I
Oh,
wasn't.
okay, well, no, because I got off the tube and saw someone walk past me, turned around and went, it's him. Like literally a moment of going like, this could be El De Niro. And my fucking girlfriend's looking at me just going, what are you doing? As I'm standing there kind of just looking into the distance, because the guy had gone around the corner long ago. And like, I think maybe someone who was a part of my like development has passed by. And I've just missed that. Because you say like long time. I think I'm 22 now, and when I was like just before I turned 15, nah, actually I must have been 15-ish, I started watching and listening to your videos and everything.
Fuck.
And since then, I've listened to probably every Midnight Hour podcast and all the
Jesus.
videos and all that kind of stuff. So it's real weird.
Yeah, it's weird for me to I don't know, because like if I ever met Hutch, I would be like, I'd have to like be like, dude, you have actually given me so many
Lessons.
so many lessons, so much moral fiber. Like I've gained so much of my understanding of the world because of the things that you said in a lot of your videos and stuff. And I feel like he would just be like, yeah, no, cool, awesome. And
Well, yeah.
it's like such a weird, because like I don't even know what I really actually ever did, and I also like I find it really difficult to listen to my older stuff because I'm like, fuck you, the me of today would fucking kill you in a fight.
You come across some stuff and you go, wow, I have done a 180 on that opinion, or
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah, no, I know that you know that, particularly when it comes to politics and stuff like that, there are a lot of things I said in the past that I don't necessarily stand by
Oh yeah,
anymore.
yeah. Well, no, I've had like this, like the pendulum has swung like full to both the extremes, and it was kind of, it didn't follow a trend of stuff that you talked about, I don't think, because obviously there's big influences on the side as well, but there's definitely like why do I believe, or why do I think this at this moment in time? And I go, why have I changed that belief now?
Yeah.
And mostly it's because you went like, yeah, I've changed, and you learn to look back at yourself and go, wow, if someone had access to my Twitter account when I was 14, Jesus fucking Christ.
Man, if I've said this before, but if Twitter was around when I was 14, like I would be in prison or something.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It's like it's not even like the things of today that people like lose their careers over. Like I was like so far off the fucking deep end. Like
Yeah.
I just like it's really actually important that social media wasn't around when I was growing up, because the type of person that I am now, like I am a far cry from the like I would go so far as to say some of my opinions were extremist back in the day, and now
Yeah.
I'm like I feel rational, even though everyone feels rational, but like I feel like I would not succumb to some extreme ideology or anything like that now, and I feel like I would be able to coach somebody almost out of that type of mode of thinking. Whereas if my past were dragged up and used against me, it wouldn't matter. I like none of my opinions would matter. I would be cancelled, and like that would
Yeah.
be the end of it.
Thrown off the air.
Yeah.
Jeez, yeah.
Like SoundCloud would ban me, and yeah, it would be crazy. Like that would probably be the most famous I could ever get.
The perfect like encapsulation of how everything has developed from like 2012 is there's a tweet out there of some guy saying 2012 Twitter was lit. I could show people how to cook crack in the microwave, but now I could get banned for calling a fat bitch fat. It's yeah.
It's crazy. I listen to Joe Rogan a lot, and he kind of talks about it a lot, and it's like a topic that I'm almost sick of listening to people talk about, but it is so true that I don't really feel like people get a shot at redemption anymore. I feel like the whole concept of redemption is being skewed, where it's like,
Oh yeah, absolutely not.
people are more inclined to be like, well, you shouldn't have been like that in the first place, and I'm like, hold on guys, we gotta take a minute here and understand what moral development is and things like that.
Just like moral development in people, but even in kids, just like growing up. The whole, I don't know, I don't stay up to date with all the YouTube happenings and everything, but I feel like a lot of the young people on there, they do stuff, there's outrage about something, and often they're like cast aside and that's it. Whereas, they're kids and they're gonna have, as you said, like extremist opinions and grow up
Yeah.
and learn stuff.
Yeah, it's I actually I've been like, the whole Christchurch shooting thing. I found that to be insanely disturbing because the more I read into it, the more it seems like this guy committed this like horrible like it's one of the most disturbing like of these types of incidents, I think, because it seems like this guy was just trying to gain the affection of people on fucking 8chan.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about that, but every time I think about it, it's so dark and so I don't know. It's just deeply disturbing, I guess, that someone can go to that lengths and not really catch themselves doing it or whatever.
Well, that's the thing. It's like it's a little step at a time, every
Yeah,
single time. It starts with joking about just like, a dark meme or something, and in a year's time or 2 years' time, you can have someone who's completely flipped or gone off the deep end or whatever.
yeah, yeah. Do you
It's
think
all
that
step.
in your opinion, do you think that memes have that kind of ability to hook people towards an ideology?
I am pretty confident
Mm.
in saying that like memes can definitely be weaponized, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like you see uh I don't know what's her name? AOC is the abbreviation, but I forget the name.
Alexandria Ocasio. I don't know if it's
The the,
Ocasio or
the
Ocasio Cortez.
yeah, the Democrat lady.
Yeah,
She is pretty active on social media and doing all kinds of like young people stuff in the sense of like her dog runs up to her, jumps on her, they cuddle and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
And doing stuff that's not to sound old, but down with the kids.
yeah, yeah,
And the more you find ways to relate to people like that, because like memes were around, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, and people who were 18 then are now almost 30.
yeah,
So they're proper adults. They're living life, and if they still keep that appreciation of like of youth culture with them, you can definitely use that in a way to influence how they think. And because it's something that's so readily available, as in it comes by on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, literally everywhere, and it's entertaining. Yeah, I think they have more influence than what I was going to say than what people say, but that carries something else with it.
yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
but they definitely have some kind of power to them.
Yeah, I think I don't really know what I fully think about it, but like from just a very basic understanding, if you think about tribes and in groups and out groups and stuff like that, I always go straight to football teams because that's
Oh,
where
definitely, yeah.
most of my experience is. So like there's a meme about like Steven Gerrard that he bottles everything, that he's never won titles, like all of that kind of thing. And
Exactly.
I
Slipped it.
yeah, exactly. And I think people believe that because it's repeated so much and it's used in like it is ultimately a meme. And I think that like Man United fans or Everton fans or whoever it is, like the tribe that's going against Liverpool, I think that they're more likely to believe that Gerrard is not that good of a footballer or that he comes with all of these things like
Hmm.
bottling it
Yeah.
at the last moment and all of that. Purely because the meme gets repeated enough. So
Yeah.
I think if I can accept it on that level, I can accept it on almost any level. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. At the risk of going like very in depth on just what I'm studying and everything, one of the things I'm studying is psychology, and I'm writing my thesis now about essentially persuasion, influence, and that kind of stuff.
Oh, nice.
And it's really surprising looking at the like academic literature on experiments that have just purely worked around how frequently something is repeated and how people like it and believe it more.
Yes.
So in the late 60s, early 70s, two Michigan universities, what did they do? Two Michigan universities printed a bunch of Turkish words in the university newspaper just on the front. They had like a little box and they printed the word and that was it. And there were, I think, 6 words. One of them was repeated once, one twice, one 5 times, one 10 times, and one 25 times. And it was just like printed on the front of the newspaper and left, they did that for the whole year. The experiment ran, sure. Then they questioned people, have you noticed these weird words printed on the front cover of every edition of the newspaper? They said yes, so everyone noticed it. And then they gave them a full list of a bunch of Turkish words and said, can you rate all these words on a 1 to 7 scale of how much you like them? and the words that they'd been exposed to more frequently were the words that they liked a lot more.
Wow.
And it simply plays into the fact that the brain is more used to it. So, and because it's a foreign language, you have to kind of strain to read it. Even, they have like the odd looking letters and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to strain to read it. So if you've seen the word 25 times, you're going to like it a lot more than if you've seen it 5 times, simply because your brain has to put less effort into it.
That's so funny because I don't know why, but my brain went here first. If I am looking at a list of horses at the Grand National or whatever, and like there's the favorite, the second favorite, the third favorite, and then like at fucking 150 to 1 there's some horse that's a Bruce Springsteen lyric, I'm like, yes, that's my boy, that horse is gonna win this thing. And it's like at no point do I even attempt to analyze it on a deeper scale than I have a sentimental connection, or not even, it doesn't even have to be sentimental, it's just I know this, so this, please, this is what, like, you feel more secure with it or something.
There's kind of like a biological basis to all that, in the sense that our brains seem to run on something that a lot of academics have called a click-whir fashion, as in there's like an input, it clicks, and then the machine starts whirring, and the output is almost to be expected and usually consistent amongst like different individuals. And that came from, I think it's, if you take a turkey and you play a recording, just like on a journalist recording device or whatever you call that thing, you play back a recording of one of its chicks chirping, it'll go over and sit on the recording device.
Yeah, yeah.
If you then take a stuffed polecat and just drag it towards the turkey will fucking pounce on it and shred it to bits and everything. So you've proven like a mothering instinct, and you've proven aggression towards the natural predator, the polecat. But then if you put the recording device in the polecat and play it, the turkey will go over and like nurture it and try to clean it and that kind of stuff.
Fuck.
Purely because it's just the input that it has, click, it hears chirping, where the mothering behavior will follow. And it's weird how it overrides, like you say, it's just automatically you'll think of this horse that's a Bruce Springsteen lyric. You'll be like, oh yeah, sure, that's him. It'll override every other bit of like rational instinct. And I did air quotes with my fingers when I said that.
Nice. That's so my first question is, can the turkey that they're doing this experiment on read the Turkish writing that they're doing the other experiment on?
The two are unrelated as of yet, though I am fully aware that turkeys have some kind of sign language, I believe, on the gizzard bit. They'll swing it around, make it look like a pendulum. They can tell the time because it looks like a clock, I believe. That
would make sense because, as far as I know, all poultry knows when the sun rises. They
fucking do, yeah.
Yeah, they cock-a-doodle-doo or whatever.
Yeah, just to support this evidence, if you take a Turkish man and play a recording device of a polecat, he will go and nurture the polecat. So there's that fun tidbit of information.
Excellent. That's so weird, and it's only Turkey that works with.
Exclusively Turkey.
And Turkmenistan or whatever.
Turkmenistan, yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
I could not point that place out on a map. Like, I could point to the general area.
If I woke up tomorrow morning and there was a New York, not even a respected, like, if there was a Twitter moment that said people have figured out that Turkmenistan is just a joke that was repeated in primary school, I would look at it and go, yeah, I fucking knew it, because like no one knows anyone from there. They've never been involved in any diplomatic incident. Like, I fucking knew that was a fake place. And then my friend would be like, hey, did you hear that Turkmenistan doesn't exist? And I'd be like, yeah, you fucking idiot. Of course it doesn't exist.
Didn't you know that?
Yeah, that's what I would be like.
No idea, did you?
I would 100% be one of those people that claimed to know information that they didn't know. And I don't know what it is about me that's like that, but sometimes I catch myself doing that, and I'm like, oh, well, we're going with it. This is where we're going. There's no such thing as free will.
I had a lot of that, and then at some point a friend of mine talked to me about some fucking... I want to say it was Grown Ups 2, but I don't know why. Anyways, it was just some kind of movie. And he's like, oh, I went to see this movie this weekend. And I just automatically said, oh, it's a great movie. He said, have you seen it? And without like thinking, I went, yeah, I've already seen it as well. He's like, did you like the bit with the slides, or like the water slides? Oh yeah, that shit was great. It was hilarious. I laughed so hard. And he's like, oh, there were no water slides. Fuck you. At that point, you realize like, shit, they got me.
Yeah. It's actually like it's one of the traits that I hate the most in other people when I see it. There's a guy I work with who acts like he's the authority on everything. Like you'll say literally any sentence, and he'll be like, yeah, of course, or whatever. and it just I don't know. It's the most disgusting trait because like I really value realness, and this guy, I just feel like he has no personality of his own because there's nothing I can say to him where I believe his opinion is authentic. And
It has come from him and is not just either agreeing with you or agreeing with what someone just said before that.
yeah, exactly. It's really troubling. I remember there was like a conversation one time where one of my colleagues was saying he was talking about Venezuela because they were, I think this was when they were very close to like removing Maduro, and the guy was like, my colleague was like, yeah, but of course, remember, it's not real socialism. And he was saying that sarcastically because that's what people on the left say is, oh, this isn't real. So, and then the guy who I hate goes, yeah, no, of course it's not. And then my colleague was like, no, I'm just saying that because people say that. And he goes, oh, yeah, no, yeah, same. It's like, oh, just fucking come on, man. Pick a side here.
Yeah, people have like it's. I don't know. I've definitely been guilty of this a lot, but just feel the pressing, burning need to really get in there and affirm that they too belong to the group or belong to whatever's being talked about right now at this point in time. I must confirm that I too am fully aware of what the current conversation is about.
Yeah, I know that I do it because I was, well, I'm pretty sure if I'm gonna like Jordan Peterson self-author my way to this conclusion, but
Go ahead, love it.
I think that kind of all throughout my life I've always felt like I was punching up and that people didn't really ever see like any potential in me or whatever, and I always surprised people when I got good results, and I always did it without ever really having to study. And then in the last few years of school, I pretty much did nothing. All I did was argue with teachers and get into fights, and it was just like a horrible, horrible time. I still managed to get like a fucking A in higher English without like any study whatsoever, which I'm so proud of.
Yeah.
Not really. I don't believe in the concept of pride, but like I'm satisfied with it. But I pretty much like I did terribly in every other aspect. I passed my final exams on a technicality, but like I failed like I think two or three subjects, and I've always felt like people just don't think I'm that smart. So whenever like highbrow topics come up, I always feel like I have to cut in and be like, no, it's because of the, and like usually I know a little about a lot, so I can definitely make myself sound like, yeah, that's like a really important skill though, because it's
a skill that, like, for me, it does two things. Like, first of all, it makes for easy conversation with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you can talk about anything that's all you have to do is like show that you are either interested or that you know something, and from there you can just get by in any conversation with questions, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
And then also, if you have a little bit, you can learn a lot more, a lot quicker. So you're talking, so like, I don't know anything about fucking finance, for example. Well, a little bit. See, yeah, I know a little bit about, say, finance, but then if I'm talking to a friend who's actually studying econometrics or something, then I can ask one or two, or like I can start with, what do you think about this? Ask a question related to it, and then keep on asking questions about what he says.
Yeah.
And it's like a learning opportunity, and you're like, hey, this is socializing. Wow.
Yeah, it's true. I consider myself a good conversationalist, and it's one of my favorite things about myself because I'm never ever nervous meeting new people. Like I met my girlfriend's parents quite recently, and on my way to meeting them, I was really struck by how unnervous I was. Like, not even a slight, like, for context, obviously everyone listening knows that I struggle with anxiety. If I'm going to meet my friends after work in a pub and they're in the pub and I'm walking to the pub by myself, I could actually vomit from how nervous I am. Like, just walking in the door in this place, what if they're not there? Like, I could actually like get sick. If I pull myself over to the side of the road and like heaved, like vomit would come out. But this, I'm going to meet like this my girlfriend's parents, and I'm like, this is fine. Yeah. I'm looking forward to this. I'm really gonna make a good impression here and stuff like that.
Jesus Christ, I can relate to, well, not to the not being nervous to meet any of the parents, but the heading to a gathering and being like, I'm not feeling this at all.
Yeah, it's strange.
Well, I didn't almost fail my high school finals on a technicality, but there was definitely like a lot of anxiety involved stuff that just like because I lived 10 minutes away from school by bike because it's Holland, you fucking bike everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
But these like we don't have. You have like at the end of the year you have final exams that are nationwide, and then you have 3 blocks of school exams that make up half your final grade for everything. And in one of these blocks, I was just so anxious for all the exams and stuff. I had to be driven like 2 minutes to school, throwing up in the car and everything. Whereas
Jeez.
before that, I'd been academically perfect. Well, not no, not perfect, but I was good in school and enjoyed everything I did. No reasons to think I would fail. I have a theory on this, and it's gonna get too Jordan Peterson-y maybe for some people's liking, but it's definitely like the meaning attached to it.
Okay, let's hear
Like,
it.
well, it's so you going to see friends in a pub and being like anxious about it or whatever. That's I don't know how much value you'd attach to that interaction, but maybe it's just like after school I'm gonna, or not after school, after work or whatever, gonna hop down, not in the mood, but gonna do it anyways. And so it doesn't hold that much intrinsic meaning. But you making a good impression on your girlfriend's parents and, like hoping for their approval or whatever, that carries a lot more weight and meaning, which means that you'll feel like, it's a challenge that you rise to, whereas going
Okay.
to a social event might not be. And the same thing for my school thing is like, I was, there was no threat of me ever really failing, which meant that the meaning of trying to, graduate high school and go on to university after that and, start life start a new chapter in life, it didn't actually have that much meaning. But then, yeah, other things.
That's very interesting. It's also hilarious that it's like, why are you so nervous? Because this doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, like it's like existential anxiety of, well, what am I have nothing to really work towards, or I have
Yeah.
nothing higher to aspire to. I mean, the
Wow.
brain is like wired to do that. It's wired to achieve things, not to actually not for the thing itself, but for the process of getting there.
Man, that's like I reckon if you told me that like 3 years ago, I would be fucking all over that, and I would be repeating it like to everybody. Me now, I still find it super interesting, and I wouldn't discount it. Um, but I don't know that. Uh, I don't know. I actually need to maybe think about it. I don't. I think I've moved away from um, how much meaning I attach to things like that because actually mainly to be honest with you it's because when I did cognitive behavioral therapy the main thing that process does is it attacks the symptoms and you find that once it attacks the symptoms they don't matter anymore and you're able to fight against it
Yeah.
and it's just you've just reprogrammed the pathways in your brain and I just feel like if you can just take the symptoms and rip them out like that and throw them in the bin or whatever, then was there that much meaning? Like, is it some deeply rooted thing in the first place, or is it just like,
See.
like the circuitry was running this way and now it's running that way? We plugged it from AC into DC and now it's fixed.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good man. Well, yeah, it's a lot of like coping mechanisms,
Yeah,
which there's a lot to be said because another track of my formal education or whatever you want to call it is in neuroscience. So Dr. John has probably has something to say about this as well if you'd ask
yeah.
him.
Were you a fan of the episodes with him on it?
Oh yeah, it's fantastic for me to listen to because some of the stuff you guys talked about was like he mentioned a study that I'd literally read maybe 2 or 3 days before.
Ah, nice. Yeah, it's
Uh,
cool. It's hard. I don't really know with those episodes because they got the least amount of feedback, but they're the ones that I enjoyed the most, I think.
because it's well probably because it's like a world maybe alien to anything you know. Because like
Yeah,
the whole neuroscience, it's like the overlap of psychology and biology, and nobody really seems to get into it just for the neuroscience. They both seem to be they either seem to be psychologists who end up focusing on the brain more, or biologists who are like, well, I guess I just want to focus on this tiny bit of cells anyways.
yeah,
So yeah, but they have something called a top-down approach, which is the brain executes um, functions throughout the body, and like what you feel in the end is because it started in your thoughts or somewhere up in the brain.
yeah,
But they also have a bottom-up approach, which is like if you feel that your heartbeat starts going faster, your brain will like register that and interpret it and go, wait, why is my heart beating? then like the overthinking starts. You go, oh, it might be because I'm anxious for this.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm going to make myself more anxious. It's like if there's a tense, like, so say I have an exam and I have coffee right before the exam. The coffee will make my heart rate go up because it's got caffeine in it,
Yeah.
which will then make my body will register that maybe subconsciously and just go, oh shit, there's an exam coming up. The heart rate must be reacting to that. I feel a bit of a nervous symptom in the heart rate. Therefore, I'm going to just, set all the floodgates open and sweat and vomit and whatever.
Yeah.
Because fuck it, let's code red,
Yeah. That is
It's like a feedback loop.
Yeah, that's one of the most interesting things that I've sort of, I guess, stumbled across over the last couple of years, and it's kind of one of the main reasons why I've moved away from Jordan Peterson's his, I guess, style of psychology, and I went more to I read Sam Harris's Free Will book.
Very good read, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome, but it's everything that he says in it. Like, I don't find the whole debate about whether or not free will exists to be particularly interesting, because I know that most neuroscientists subscribe to, at the very least, free will determinism, which is that you're absolutely not in control of your thoughts and you're heavily influenced by everything around you.
Yeah.
That was the thing that I took away most, is like just the effect that coffee will have on you. What you on caffeine versus you not on caffeine, there's like a serious difference there.
Exactly, yeah.
These are things that I never really noticed before. Like, I used to drink a lot of energy drinks, and I'd drink a Red Bull, and I'd be sitting there thinking, like, I am fucking, like, if I have to leave my bedroom right now, I am going to die of a heart attack because the anxiety of just walking outside of my room.
They'll have to peel you off the door because there's no way. Yeah.
Like, at no point did I ever think, like, maybe it's because of the fucking astronomical quantities of caffeine and taurine and sugar that's coursing through my body right now. Like, there's no way this could be illuminating, like, different parts of my brain and stuff like that. Yeah, it's crazy.
It all spills over. That's the most interesting part for me, is like it spills over and has a scaling effect. So you having me actually, backstory, I used to weigh like 106 kilograms or something, and now I'm down to 71-ish over like a 2-year period.
So you're like, what's that? Do you know what that is in pounds?
Oh, pound, like 200 plus pounds easily.
Wow.
And then now down to what would probably be like 150.
Shit. Wow.
Like 220, probably 220. No, 232. I'm doing the math. Yeah, 232 down to 154.
Jesus, nice job.
Yeah, well, it's over 2 years, and one of the things I realized was just stop drinking exorbitant amounts of sugar.
Yeah.
I'd have Coca-Cola at some point, and then at 2 in the afternoon, be like, I am fucking so tired. Oh, maybe because I had half a liter of Coke with lunch, which spiked the blood sugar, and now I'm coming down off essentially a high. And then, so you just cut that out, and then you start to notice how you feel better. I'm doing, getting more work done. And then because I'm getting more work done, I have more free time to do fun things on the side. So you take up, it scales outwards.
Yeah.
And you can, every little effect, every change you make has an effect that then allows you to make another change that's going to be bigger, which allows you to make another one, which will be bigger, and then you branch out to doing more things, which everything kind of adds up. That's a very poor wording of the whole situation, but people probably understand what I mean.
I definitely understand. And fucking, congratulations on losing that much weight.
Oh, yeah, thanks. It was...
Yeah, that's tough. I in July of 2018, I weighed 185 pounds. Nobody believes me, though, because I carry it so well, because I have such
tall, well, no.
I'm actually not tall. I'm 5'9", but I just have a very skinny frame. I can wrap my thumb to my pinky finger around my wrists. I am a skinny guy. And all of the weight.
People at home are doing that as well.
Yeah, it's so easy for me to do. But I know a lot of people who can't do it, and it kind of freaks them out that I can do it. But I could do it even when I was 185 pounds.
Okay.
I'm down to 160 now. I think the lowest I got to was 155. But yeah, all I did was just stop eating shit. And I It's also when I was younger, I used to be able to eat whatever I wanted, and I would never gain weight. And I fucking resent so much that my metabolism has slowed down or whatever that I can't do that anymore. But it's I was just very conscious of it, and then I for a week and a half I did the Jordan Peterson meat only diet.
Jesus, how'd that go? I haven't actually spoken to anyone ever who's done that.
It's
How'd it,
fucking ridiculous. Like
how'd it go down?
the weight flies off you. I did it for I think 10 days, and I lost either 11 or 12 pounds, so a pound a day.
Jesus.
Um,
What were you eating mainly, and how were you cooking it?
so I was snacking on like bits of pepperoni and salami. I was cooking. I had sausages, but there's a butcher's near me that does sausages that are like fucking 98% pork. So, because if you buy sausage, I don't know what it's like in every country has different sausages, but
Yeah, Irish definitely have the best though.
yeah, that's what I'm told.
Oh fuck, shot. No, my grandparents are both Irish, and
Oh,
it's
nice.
so I get that. Like I'm slip the sausage. I should not say slip the sausage. Fuck. I have enjoyed. There's no way of saying this properly. I know what you mean.
When
Go.
you're in, yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, they have carbs in them, and no one really knows what's exactly in them. But you can get if you go to a butcher's, you'll get like ones that are all pork. So I was doing that. I was eating lots of bacon, having like different types of burgers and beef steaks and like all different steaks and stuff.
Just fats and protein, essentially. No.
Yeah, literally just fat and protein. Eating the fat on everything as well because you have to.
Oh, yeah,
because it becomes your energy source. But it's crazy. Like I don't think it's good for you at all because you would want to see the plates that I was putting into the dishwasher after this. They were like covered in grease, and I was like, if that looks like that. Like imagine what my fucking insides look like. And yeah, but I think most of the weight that went off me was water weight and just, like little cheat things that you can get off you like really quickly if you want to drop weight really quickly. And then I stopped that diet because if you do a keto diet or a zero carb diet, you basically can't drink beer, and like I can't not drink beer. So
Yeah, it's the one complication. Why don't cut out everything except beer?
that's kind of what I do now. Honestly, that's like my one vice now. I'll have a bar of chocolate every second day, but when it comes to sugar, like in Ireland, you can't really get sugary drinks anymore. I'm sure people listening will object to that because it's not entirely true. But let's say 7-Up, Sprite, those you cannot buy the sugary versions of them anymore.
Yeah, they've all gone sugar-free.
Yeah, that's right. And Coke Zero is currently outselling Coke Regular by it's like 70-30 or something like that in the market share. So it's definitely like sugar drinks are on the way out, and I think that makes a real difference. Then other than that, like the only carbs I have really are like rice and cheese. So
Yeah, is cheese even a carb?
yeah, some cheese. It depends on what you're getting, but I think like I eat a salad every day, and the only thing that's carbs in it is the cheese. So it's kind of annoying, but.
Do you think this whole like clean eating, I hesitate to call it like health focused fad. Well, I hesitate to call it a fad because it seems that people are making some really good like permanent changes. But the whole like becoming quote unquote woke about what you're putting in your system, is that a generational thing that's coming up, or is it? I don't know. Where have you seen that come from anywhere specific?
It's a good question. I feel like one observation I have is the thing that's leading it appears to be Instagram. So it appears to be like a body worship kind of deal. Yeah. I don't think it's necessarily rooted in vanity. But the number of people I know who are personal trainers now is insane.
Yeah, that's skyrocketing.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a vanity thing, or it might start out as a vanity thing.
Yeah, but it
very
becomes
quickly,
like an addiction, or maybe not an addiction, but like a philosophy, like a way of life.
Yeah, well, people like routine and certainty, so if you give them like every like every other day they will go to the gym and they have a planned time for it.
Yeah.
There's no like if there's nothing to to make them deviate from that,
Yeah.
why stop? Because they're getting in shape. They're probably feeling like I noticed that as I lost weight and started exercising more, that I felt better. I focused better. I could fucking. I don't know if this is just confirmation bias from me, but I feel like my eyesight got better.
I actually genuinely believe that it did. I noticed that. So I wear glasses. Well, I wear contacts, but
Same.
I require glasses. My ability to see without my contacts in is heavily dependent on what I've eaten that day. And I've noticed it, but I haven't been able to pinpoint exactly what it is that I can eat that makes my vision better. But my couch downstairs, I can see the TV. If I'm watching football, if I've eaten like heartily that day and not had any shit, when I look at the scoreboard, I can see it. I can tell what time it is in the game. If I'm hungry, I cannot see the fucking thing. It's blurry.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. It's down to focus. Like being hungry has a huge effect on human decision making and behavior and everything.
Yeah.
Like if you go to a doctor at 9 a.m. versus going at 4 p.m., the odds of him making a mistake in diagnosis or any kind of treatment procedure are astronomically higher.
Yeah.
If you give parole officers,
Yes, I love this one.
oh, you know this one?
Yeah.
Give it to the listeners. If you give parole officers cases to review right before lunch, they'll deny most of them. And then if you give a different group or the same group the same cases, different names maybe, if you give them cases after lunch, they'll take more time to review them and pass a lot more of them.
Yeah.
So just simple things like hunger, they cause massive swings in behavior. And it makes sense because historically humans do a lot of stuff over food. Like charity dinners, there's a reason they give people dinner and then ask them for huge donations, because once they're happy and satiated and not hungry and possibly slightly inebriated, they're going to donate a lot more.
Who do you think figured that out?
I think it's 100%. I don't know, some guy named Joseph in 8000 AD, 8000 BC. Like it's such an ancient concept.
Yeah.
Offering food when you turn up to a tribe. If you turn up, my cousin went on this trek through South America somewhere with a bunch of student friends, and they were planning on spending the night with some village, they're not like untouched by man or whatever, but they're definitely like isolated.
Mm-hmm.
On this trek, they passed by them and they had to catch a pig and bring it as an offering, because food has that bonding thing.
Wow.
It's like based on the reciprocity instinct that people have. It's like, repay what you get given in kind.
Yeah.
So they turn up bringing food that they spent, exerted effort, spent energy on catching. Therefore, the people will, give them shelter for a night, and then it's the rule of hospitality also. A lot of ancient Greek stories have that. You don't kill someone who comes to your house and brings you an offer.
Yeah, that's true. I like the way we figure things out when we're not studying that particular thing. I don't know if that will make sense, but
Yeah.
There are so many things we understand about human nature purely because of capitalism and what people tend to do when they're swayed towards one product or another or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fucking Nestle didn't set out what do humans do when confronted with they set out can we sell this, and they test a bunch of products and people go towards one and they're all right, yes we can, and then from that we can glean that humans do this and that they're more likely to. I think that's fucking awesome. I know a lot of people are that's the devil, we should be not finding things out that way, but it's just really interesting to me that there are so many cheat codes for they found out I don't know, 10 years ago, excuse me, in Hollywood, that people are more likely to go see your movie if you market it where the good guys are shown on screen in a blue tint and the bad guys have an orange tint. Yep. And those two colors, when they are opposed on a poster, people are more likely to go see it. Stuff like that. I fucking love that. I don't know. It's so like a little shortcut into the window of the pleb to see stuff based on colors or whatever,
Yeah, well, humans are very visual, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. I
You have
know that. Like, if I actually, this is a great fucking moment to say this to you because, remember Our Lady Peace released their most recent album, Somethingness. They did it in like two separate EPs at first.
Yeah, they released three, and then they released the whole album like a couple months after.
Yeah, and the EPs, like the fucking cover art was garbage. Like the way they were presented was so poor, like coming in
Yeah.
this like WinRAR fucking file or whatever. And then when it comes out as an album, like it's called Somethingness, which is a great title.
Mhm.
The cover has that stupid art in it, but it's compacted into one little thing as part of a bigger picture around
Yeah.
it. And all of a sudden, I go from being completely indifferent about these songs, from one of my favorite bands of all, one of the most important bands of my whole life, and then I go to being like, this is good. This project I can get behind. This is a
Yeah, I would
cohesive
support
piece of
this.
work. Like, yeah, crazy. What the
It's,
fuck is that about?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I actually have no idea. This is something I should be looking like. I know it's a subheading in the thesis I'm writing right now.
That's awesome.
But I haven't actually looked into much of it yet. But no, I'm definitely aware that like, the amount of processing that we do with our eyes
Yeah.
is ridiculous. Essentially, a quarter of the brain is devoted to just processing whatever comes in.
Yeah, I
It's,
saw this statistic before that was like, these numbers are going to be wrong, but it was something like human beings process 5,000 visual images per day. That's what the brain can handle. That's that capacity. And the average person in America in a big city is subjected to 21,000 images per day, or something like that, because of advertising and
yeah,
whatever. Um, so that's insane.
just speaking of Our Lady Peace, though, that is truly maybe one of truly no, that is definitely like top three things that you've put me onto over the past like 8 years that have just had a fucking whirlwind of an effect on my life.
It's so awesome to me how many people say that to me, because like I truly believe that just in terms of quality they are one of the best bands like ever. Particularly their first four albums, like they're
Yeah.
fucking unbelievable as works of art, and they're all different from each other. They're so good as albums by themselves. Like it's kind of, apart from the voice, you wouldn't really believe that they're all the same band making these four amazing albums. Um,
Jesus.
and the amount of people who say that, but like they're not famous outside of Canada at all. Like
Absolutely not, no.
the only gigs they play outside of Canada are in the American states that hug Canada, like Michigan and like
Yeah.
the very very top of New York next to Niagara Falls around there. So like I really wish that Our Lady Peace knew what I've done for them.
How much have you like made for them in albums?
I
Because
wonder.
the thing is, being like a edgy teen, would just download all my music before Spotify became a thing, and even
Yeah.
now I just have like an iTunes. I still use iTunes and have like I think half a terabyte of just all kinds of music and stuff that I keep. It's usually like I like one song, and then I download the whole album, and the album turns out to be okay, but it's specifically for that one song.
Yeah.
But I buy the albums for a couple of bands. One is Codaline. Bought everything they've done purely because,
Nice.
again, you put me onto them. And I went to see them live as well, like 3 or 4 years ago, maybe.
Nice.
And Our Lady Peace, the other one that I always buy. And Linkin Park, I've bought a couple of theirs
Yeah.
again because, yeah, they're just like, yeah, you kind of put your money where well, it's not yeah, it's because it's iTunes. You need to have a credit card, which 16-year-old Sven did not have a credit card.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, geez, I remember being just probably 15, 16, and then you talked about Spiritual Machines.
Yes.
Listening to the album, thinking like, it's okay. I'm not quite into it. Then every week, Friday night, when you post the Midnight Hour, I'd come back and listen to the album after listening to the podcast, and just slowly kind of warm up to it until at some point I just had certain songs on repeat,
That's
hours,
sick.
hours on end.
Yeah, that's so fucking cool. That album is such a trip, like, and such a journey.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
mean, it sent me on a fucking journey because I bought Ray Kurzweil's book and read it and broke my brains over stuff that he proposed.
yeah. I don't think I ever bought it, but when I lived in Scotland, there was a library that I used to go to, even though I was never actually a member of it, but I would sit down and read books in there. And I remember reading it and just thinking, like, I'm not smart enough for this. And I think the more I read about this, it's going to ruin the album for me or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, just from start to finish, that album is so, like, it's just beautiful. I don't know another word. Like, especially the closing track, The Wonderful Future. I think that's one of the most beautiful songs ever written. Like, it's...
And then hearing, like, I'd usually fall asleep when the music part of the track stopped.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
be woken up by the outro, like, 18 minutes later.
Yeah, I remember...
Just the conversation going on.
There was this guy who... he probably doesn't listen anymore. I met him once in London. He was like a fan or whatever, and he added me on Skype, and he was telling me like he listened to the album, and I was like, oh, what did you think? And he was like, oh, it was okay. And he was like, that hidden track at the end is fucking weird. Why would they do that? And I was like, like it was the 90s, like lots of bands had hidden tracks like that. And he was like, but it doesn't make any sense. Why is there all of this like blank space in the meantime? And I was like, it's just like a stylistic choice that they did, because on the CD you could hide stuff at the back. It's like an Easter egg, and he just wasn't getting this at all. The whole concept of a hidden track, and I'm there like dragging out my fucking CD collection, like, look at this, Deftones, Around the Fur, track 10. There's 2 hidden tracks at the end and stuff like that. And he was just like, yeah, but why is it at the end? And I was like, you know what, this conversation's over.
People overthink it a little bit.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, I can understand too, though, if you're from the digital age, you're not going to really understand why. Because, like, it's not actually that the final track is 38 minutes long. It's that the final track skips, I don't know, like, usually there's, like, 99 tracks that are 3 seconds long or something like that. And that's the way it would go. But, yeah, it's, I don't know. It's just funny how wound up this guy got over it. I'm like, look, I can't help you here. This isn't my fault.
Yeah. Imagine some like Spotify mumble rapper had a hidden track.
And then he died. And then it got revealed like 12 years later.
Just hear someone coming in and shooting him.
Yeah. Have you been following this thing about the guy Lil Nas X?
Please tell me, Old Town Road?
Yeah.
Yes, and no one around me fucking gets it. No one.
What? What's your opinion about Billboard not recognizing this as a country song?
I don't know. It's weird because the only country I'm really familiar with is like Zac Brown Band and Wheeler Walker Jr. That's my repertoire, unfortunately.
So like I know because I've always been blown away by just country music in general. It's a really strange economy, but it is huge in America. Like if you're a platinum selling country music artist you're
raking it in.
You are fucking like, you're Drake. Like, you make hundreds of millions of dollars and you're selling music in like 5 states or something.
I think the groupies are different though.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. They're related to you.
Specifically the amount of teeth and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And the type of overalls that they wear. But,
yes.
So I've always been interested in this, and I am like, this is my disclaimer, make people know that I'm still cool. I listen to all types of music, I know it all. But like, I'm a fan of like Kelly Clarkson and Taylor Swift and shit like that. Yeah. And I know that Kelly Clarkson releases her tracks, she'll do a country version of it, and that'll go into the country music chart. So like, there's 2 versions of a lot of her songs because it makes her lots of money. And then Taylor Swift, though, she used to be a country star, but now she's a pop star. However, her pop music still goes into the country charts, and she doesn't alter it in any way. So like, if you're having fucking Taylor Swift trouble in as a country song and the Billboard doesn't reject that, you can fuck off rejecting what I consider to be an actual country song. Like, it's fair enough, right? It's rap, it's over a 9 Inch Nails beat or whatever, but he's fucking talking about wearing Wrangler, fucking riding horses and having a cowboy hat on. Like, this is country music. His accent is country music. Like, the sentiment is country music. Like, get the fuck out of here not allowing that in. You're like, oh, we don't want our music to evolve.
It's fucking gatekeeping.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's nonsense. I love that Billy Ray Cyrus was like, nah, fuck that. And then he did a remix. And like, he raps on it and he's fucking awesome.
About his Maserati. Oh, I love that. I mean, I loved it also just because of the memes it spawned.
Yeah,
you know?
same.
You know the meme of like the black arm bro fisting the white arm, and the white arm's wearing like a
Yes.
checkered sweater,
Yeah.
and it's like the where they're shaking each other's hands. You have Old Town Road. It will solve all race relations, I believe.
I know. I love stuff like that when there's crossover like that and it's like respectful and like I loved them over and over again. Nelly and Tim McGraw back in the day. I was like, this is good. This is a nice combination of two different genres. This is good. We need more of this. But
Yeah.
I also like new metal, so what are you gonna do?
Yeah, there's no fighting that.
No, it's simply the best music ever, and that's the way that it is. So tell me this. I actually wanted to ask. You told me that you're traveling as of Wednesday, which is tomorrow.
Yes.
Where are you headed?
I'm headed to Curacao, which is in the Dutch Antilles.
Ah, nice. Am I right in saying it's not called that anymore? The Dutch Antilles? It's now called something else, or?
I gotta be like, I have no idea what it's. I live in Holland. I have a Dutch passport, but I honestly do not know.
Okay. I only
It's
know this because it used to be, um, the it
the
used to be
Netherlands Antilles.
no, it used to be a high risk country, and now it's not because it's something else because something else owns it or something like that. From finance because
Oh.
I work in finance, so.
Oh yeah, no, they are independent. They became independent recently, or 2012 or something.
Ah, okay.
They were given independence from the Dutch government because there's Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao they're the ABC islands, and they used to fall under Dutch jurisdiction or fall under Dutch rule essentially. And now I think the Dutch government kind of they finance some stuff they do, but beyond that, I think they're independent. But no, they're I don't know, like they're because I was there. Let me think, March 13th to 27th as well. Oh, backstory to this whole thing is my girlfriend left mid-February to go there to do research for her master's, and obviously because I'm a bitch, I can't be away from her for longer than 4 weeks. So
Wow. You're
going
so
to go
gay.
yeah, I know. My girlfriend makes me extremely gay. Painful, honestly. All the face marks actually don't help. But yeah. So when visited then, and just being there for 2 weeks, you feel so my mum's British, my dad's Dutch, so I have both passports. That's why
Wow.
I sound more or less British, but can
I-
go into fluent Dutch.
I was gonna comment on that, and then I was like, I bet you're probably sick of people telling you that.
Not as sick as, other people who have that international background. But yeah,
Okay.
at some point you have like a story ready that you tell them. You go, yeah, I've done this, this, and this. Grew up here. Now I do this.
Yeah.
Peace. Ask me a real question.
Yeah.
So I went to visit, and I did everything in English there, just because if you went into Dutch, the people at like restaurants or at the beach or whatever would just treat you like shit. Whereas if I did everything in a hoity-toity British accent, there was no real tension.
No.
So there's definitely something going on there.
Yeah, so as an Irish person, I find the opposite to be true. When I go to particularly mainland Europe, when they find out that I'm not British, they love me.
Oh yeah, they love the Irish. It's
Yeah.
insane. But it's also because the Irish are kind of spread through I think every big city in the Netherlands at least has a pub just called the Irish Pub.
Yeah, I have a few friends who live over there, and they have not even attempted to learn Dutch.
You really don't need to be honest.
Yeah, but I don't know, like one of my friends lives in Maastricht.
Oh Jesus, that's
It's-
far away.
Yeah, and it's like small or whatever, but like you better believe there's an Irish pub there. It's,
Yeah.
I recently went to sorry, this is kind of unrelated, but also kind of related.
Go ahead.
I recently stayed in Queens, in this place called Woodside, and it is basically Ireland. Like I go anywhere in America and I talk. Actually, the way that I talk when I record, this is not my actual voice, how I sound in the world. This is my recording voice where I feel the need to enunciate everything that I say. My actual voice is like it's more like a Dublin accent. And in Woodside, I just spoke in my actual voice the entire time, and I was very confident that everyone would understand every word that I was saying clearly, like even using like Dublin slang and stuff like that, because it is basically fucking Ireland. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's like there's pockets of languages that are so weird. Like even within a tiny country like Holland, if you go all the way up north to a place called Friesland, they speak Fries. I don't even know what the English translate or the English name would be for that language, but it's like if I'm from like the Hague area, And if someone from Friesland would come over to me and say something in their like dialect or language, as they would have you believe, I would have no idea.
Oh,
No
listen,
fucking clue.
Ireland is like that too. There's a guy in my office from this place in Ireland called Cork, and every time he talks, I haven't a fucking clue what he's saying. It sounds like he's singing, first of all, and it's the most bizarre fucking accent. Like, I'm not even being facetious when I say I don't know what he's saying. I actually don't know what he's saying.
Hmm. Interesting. And like you're even from the same country.
Yeah.
That weirds me out.
Yeah.
Now, I've been around Ireland a couple times just for like family visits and whatever, and never really had a problem understanding people. But it's I found maybe down to grandparents having a slight Irish accent as well, so the ear kind of tunes into it, you know.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
sometimes, you speak to people from the north of England. I was in York a long time ago, but recent enough to remember,
Yeah.
and just understanding what they said, fucking no idea sometimes.
Yeah, because they don't. There's this tweet that me and one of my friends just laugh at incessantly because it's so funny and it's so typical. Like when you're Irish and you go abroad on a summer holiday to any like Mallorca or wherever you go, um, there's always English people. Like the Irish people always hang out with the other Irish people or the other Celtic people, and there's always English people that come in and they're so loud, and everybody hates them and they don't know what they're doing. But the tweet is something like, hate when you're on holiday and all the Irish people or whatever are hanging out with each other, and then this fucking lad from Leeds comes in with his foghorn accent and says something like, "Oh, it were right hot on beach, had to sit in shade." And it's just, that is so what they are like. It's just, there's no decorum about them or whatever. It's
Absolutely
just,
not. Absolutely.
yeah.
Brits that leave the island, it's awful to me. Like
I know.
summer holidays so my family they enjoy heading down to like South France or whatever, just getting a house, chilling for a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
whatever. They usually go to an area that has pockets of like heavy British tourism and heavy Dutch tourism. And Dutch tourists are real fucking annoying in the sense that they always wear orange button-up shirts and blue trousers in like 35-degree weather,
Jesus.
and will like be out in the village at 8 in the morning, wondering why the shops aren't open or whatever.
Oh God.
Southern France in the summer. And the British, on the other hand, are just loud and obnoxious, and for some reason always try to talk to you. Which, I'm on holiday, leave me alone.
Yeah.
I want to read my book at this cafe, and that's it. So depending on what pocket of the area we're in, we switch between Dutch and English as a family, always avoiding the language of the people around us.
That's
And
nice. That's a good tactic.
every now and then, because my mother's Dutch is, we'll say fluent, but it doesn't sound fluent, I'll like speak to her in English, and then fucking Brits will turn their head and go, "Oh, we can have some banter. Let's have a chat.
Yeah.
Let's have a chat." And she's too nice to turn that down, so 45 minutes later we're waiting.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes you want to avoid all the language problems, and just meeting people abroad kind of sucks sometimes. But yeah.
Yeah, it's not like, I hope that my English listeners aren't like, hey, what the fuck? Like, it's not, I don't hate the English or anything like that. It's just that there's a certain type of English person that you run into abroad, and I tend to not like hanging around with them because they tend to be louder and rowdier. In a kind of like weird way. I don't really understand it. I think, I don't know, if Brexit has taught me anything, it's that nation doesn't really have a collective psyche of any kind, so it's
They're pretty divided, yeah, or bipolar, something about that.
I see these tweets sometimes where people are like, oh, it would be the most British thing ever if we just called Brexit off and made some tea for our neighbours. And I'm like, you know that Twitter account that's like Very British Problems? Have you ever seen that one?
Yeah.
And it just posts like traits of introversion. These are not British things at all.
No, not at all.
I'm
Yeah.
like, the rest of the world thinks of you guys as warmongers that come over and slaughter people and try and impose your own rule because of some weird tyrannical greatness that you think you have. Like, the rest of the world doesn't look at Britain and go like, oh, they're so British, look at them, they're so shy and reserved. Like,
Yeah.
the rest of the world is like, fuck these guys. We celebrate fucking independence from these people every week. Like, it's so strange to me that has entered their psyche as a thing. But
It's because the entire nation's mentality for the best part of 500 years was essentially something that went as follows. They'd turn up somewhere, they'd say, you, and you, fuck off, we're having tiffin.
Yeah.
And from that point onwards, they were somehow subjected to rule.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I think the Americans are doing the same thing, but just more insidious.
Yeah.
Because they'll rock up somewhere where they can like mine for oil or chocolate or whatever they want.
Yes.
And somehow the people will start talking about, we should really get rid of the American big dog. But because they come together and talk about this stuff, the Americans just build a Starbucks around them. By which point they're just too distracted and it continues.
Yeah, I know. America is it is quite a country, man. I tell you, like, I've been there I've been there 3 times now, which is weird because 6 months ago I hadn't been there at all. And
Wow, track record.
I know, yeah. Like, I've learned some things about America that I don't know what it is. It's such a strange place to me. Nothing in it is, I don't know, linear.
Uniform. Yeah, nothing's uniform in the sense of, like, you can go from place to place and you will find an entirely different culture of.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, Woodside is basically Dublin, and not in like I was in an Irish bar with Irish people, like, because like I lived in London for like a year, and like there's Irish bars in London, and you go into them and there's Irish people and that, and like that's great, but the ones in New York are like someone has cut a piece out of Dublin and put it into New York.
And just lifted it, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so, and there's like Greek areas, Korean areas, Portuguese, like whatever, and they're all their own little culture. That's what it really, like, whenever I hear these people talk about how we need an ethno state, because reason number 1, immigrants don't assimilate with our culture, and then reason number 2 is like so they don't assimilate, so we need an ethno state because multiculturalism is the devil and all that stuff. It's like, if they don't assimilate, why do you need to have an ethno state? Because if they're keeping themselves to themselves, then you're just going to keep yourself to yourself. It's like you have a little ethno town. Why do you need a country built around you fucking players?
Somehow you've gentrified the idea of an ethno state.
Yeah.
This will surely get the Proud Boys off your back.
Oh, yes. I started listening to a lot of I assume you know who Destiny is.
Streamer.
Yeah. His debates with people.
Oh, he's fucking mental though, isn't he?
He's unreal at debates anyway. That's all I know. I watched him, he was on PKA for 2 episodes. And I felt like he defended all of his ideas perfectly. I felt like there was not a single flaw in this man's like mode of thinking. So I started, like, he starts appearing in all of my fucking recommended, like, Destiny debates, like, Baked Alaska, and, like, all these people that I know of, but I don't really know what they're about, and, like, he does, like, really well in them. He's like a Ben Shapiro of the left, I think.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
I don't know, it's, like, it's all the, because I think at some point someone asked you the question on a podcast many moons ago, saying, has anyone ever changed your opinion via the internet? And what you did after that was you mentioned me, how I'd sent you a YouTube link.
Yeah, the Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly. Where I think it was the thing about him mocking the reporter.
That's right. Yeah.
And then someone had gone and made a compilation of him doing the same movements in many different cases dating back to like early 2000s, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
And yeah, so I was in that whole niche because I did another short backstory. I went off to uni studying computer science and math, dropped out after like 3 months, spent the rest of the 9 months until I went to my current uni just working, and then at night I would research the US elections that were going on right then.
Nice.
Because I was like into psychology and the whole topic of persuasion influence, and kind of hopped on the Scott Adams bandwagon of like, yeah, he's a super persuasive guy, pay attention.
He's very interesting, Scott Adams.
His way of looking at reality is very interesting and holds up strangely. I can't tell if it's luck or if he really knows or if it's really working out, but it seems to be holding up anyways.
Yeah.
But the point is, I like did all the research and, to be fair, used quite a lot of WikiLeaks to kind of find out which source can I trust and which can't I trust. Bet a bunch of cash on Donald Trump winning and made a bunch of cash as a consequence of that.
Nice.
Like serious cash.
Fuck.
And it's like it's a nice moment because you like really confirm like, wow, I spent 7 months watching Trump rallies every day.
Yeah.
Just Jesus Christ, now dead.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was worth it. And
Yeah.
so I was in the full like depth of fucking conspiracy theory, Alex Jones, right wing stuff, while also keeping tabs on what was happening in the left camp. And like every time I came across Destiny, which is where it connects to what you said,
Mm.
he was like talking to someone, and everything he said just sounded like it was irrational and pulled out of
Oh,
fucking
really?
thin air. And I think that has to do with how my thinking has developed since then. Because I was mostly looking at stuff from the right wing perspective, because that's what wasn't being broadcast in mainstream news.
Yeah.
So then I'd come across like, oh, Destiny is schooled by, some fucking baked Alaska figure. And yeah, you kind of realize how once I stopped like well, not being active, but reading stuff and researching that area of the internet, I kind of came back to normalcy and stopped watching or listening to any kind of news ever. And then you kind of get more of a rational look on things.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I actually I feel that now more than ever, I feel like I know what I think and I'm ready to defend what I think. Whereas before, I feel like I would definitely be a feels over reals kind of guy.
Yeah.
I'd just be like, well, this feels this way, so it must be true. And I am very confident in my perception of things, but
Mhm.
I don't think I would be able to successfully defend a lot of the things that I thought. And like for a while, I was like subscribed to fucking like Dave Rubin and watching his show every fucking day. I would come home from work and watch some Dave Rubin video, and I'd be like, yeah, this is the. And
He knows what's up.
now I feel like I would fucking destroy Dave Rubin in a debate about anything. I feel like I would just fucking destroy Dave Rubin if I was put in a room with him. I think I don't even think he stands for anything. I think he's a completely spineless guy. Whereas, I don't know how long ago this must have been. I think it was before I moved into this house. So probably like 18 months ago, I was looking at Dave Rubin stuff and I was thinking like, this guy is good. He's so good. He gets to the real issue and stuff like
The
that.
enlightened thinker.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas
Yeah,
in
I don't
reality,
know.
I don't think he has any thoughts at all.
That's the thing. Like a lot of the things I see from him, if it's just a podcast or like I think he was on Joe Rogan quite a while ago, but recently enough for me to remember.
Yeah, yeah. He
And
talked
it's yeah,
about regulations, and his
yeah,
whole worldview got picked apart by Joe Rogan, whose like dad worked in construction or something, and
yeah,
it just seems so like this is your entire philosophy and ethos on what you think the world should be. And then when that was done, like Joe Rogan was like, "What about construction workers and this and that?" And then now Dave Rubin reverts back to like, "Oh well, that's not my actual opinion. I was just talking about ideas." Like, shut the fuck up, man. Fucking
uh,
commit to something for once in your fucking life. Ugh,
problem is he doesn't really have to put his money where his mouth is.
I know that's
It's
the
well,
problem.
and that regulation debate was so fucking because I think he said let the free market decide
Mm,
who has the best safety in when they're building stuff.
yeah,
Now the problem is the free market's pretty good at deciding some things, but when it's about like life and death things, you don't want to leave it to market mechanisms, I don't think.
yeah. No, like you can't. I don't think you can. I don't think anybody can successfully argue that government regulation is just not needed because it'll regulate itself by like that's fucking stupid to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't like there are so many like construction is one, but there are so many other areas where that will fall apart
Yeah.
immediately. Like and
Well, it goes for health. Something like healthcare is also a good example because
mhm.
you want to make it completely private in the sense of, well, to the point that people can't afford it, therefore drop dead by the thousands,
Mhm.
or the other side of that debate seems to only be, well, like all the rich people have to pay for all the poor people who apparently are all almost dead.
Yeah.
There's no mid ground of doing something like what we have here in the Netherlands, which is like up to €300, I think, if it's a big procedure, you pay yourself, and the rest the government covers because they have mandated insurance that still works on an investment basis. So,
Yeah.
you pay a small premium that the government reimburses you for. They invest that stuff as if they were a stockbroker and do it safely and make money and pay for people who need healthcare that way.
Yeah, that like my friend who lives in the Netherlands, he tells me about that all the time, and he's like, it's brilliant, but sometimes you pay too much or whatever, and
Yeah, for stupid things you'll pay a little bit too much sometimes. Like if
Mhm.
you need antibiotics, not all of them are covered, or if you need like stomach protectors because the antibiotic is aggressive, you need to pay for
yeah,
the stomach protectors. But it's like, well, it's €12, which
yeah, that's
yeah,
fine, really, isn't it?
it should be fine. It's just kind of pissed me off that everything has to be one extreme versus the other extreme, and that's it. There's no one who seems to slow down and say, why don't we take the best parts of both and just meet in the middle, which is supposed to be what discussion does, but half the people won't talk to the other
Yeah,
half.
that is like that is the number one problem of our age, is that people just won't talk to each other anymore
Do you
because
see that being resolved?
um kinda I see some things that give me hope. And I don't think that Andrew Yang has any chance whatever like of becoming the Democratic nominee for president.
I highly doubt it as well, yeah.
Yeah, like it's not going to happen, but I like, or rather I'm encouraged by the way he's approaching it, and it seems as though he has significant support, at least online, from both sides of the extreme. Like there are people on the far right who really like him, and there are
Hmm.
people on the far left who really like him. For anyone who doesn't know, I guess we're kind of talking about like if you're living in Newcastle and your hobby is football, you're probably not going to know who Andrew Yang is, but
And punching
he's
horses.
yeah, of course that goes with the territory, but he's just like an entrepreneur who is running for president, and you can catch him like just Google Andrew Yang. You'll see he has so many interviews and stuff.
He was on Joe
Um,
Rogan as well, right?
he was on Joe Rogan. He was
Yeah.
on Sam Harris. He was on Ben Shapiro's show as well. But like the way that he seems to have united both sides, like that gives me hope. I think that eventually, like everything is ultimately like a pendulum, and we will definitely move away from this type of nonsense. Like I, I, I see that the Democrats are not entirely going in like doubling down on their bullshit because that guy whose name I can't pronounce is like a fairly popular, and he seems rational and normal and not like an insane person.
I actually have no idea who you're talking about.
It's like Buttigieg or Buttigieg or something like that.
Jesus.
He's gay. That's one thing I know about him. He was in the military. He's a mayor.
Mm.
I don't know. Well, I think that you would like be. I think you would see an interview with him and be like, "That is a sane human being."
Which is a rare at this point in time.
Yeah,
But
pretty
yeah.
much it is. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I see it being resolved just by virtue of the fact that it has to be resolved, and we seem to be moving further away from resolving things with nuclear warheads. So I don't know. I guess I hope it will be, and I somehow just believe that it will be. I don't know.
Things have a nice way of working out somehow.
Do you think it will be?
I think so. I think so. Because from what I've seen, a lot of like the younger generation is not in the sense, I don't want to say like conservative, but they're done with a bunch of nonsense coming from both sides.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah, I see that too.
Like I don't know. For some reason, like my sister just comes as an example, and she's 16. I mean, in my head she's like 8, but she's 16, and like she doesn't really know much about. She never really talks about politics. But whenever something comes on the news as she's walking by or whatever, and my dad's watching, whatever, she'll kind of just be like, "Oh, interesting. They should just talk it out instead of shouting at each other via different television screens."
Yeah,
Because they'll have a Democrat on, for example, they'll say something in an interview, and then they'll get the Republican to respond in a different interview, as in so and so said this.
yeah,
So real dialogue actually happens. But then again, the problem is that the media has to put together short segments, so dialogue is a rare commodity. I mean, yeah, it's been talked about at length how the problem is just people don't really sit down and have long conversations to really get into the nuances of their beliefs.
yeah.
It's more just, I have to state the harsh fact now, and we'll work out the rest later.
It's very interesting to me when I see stuff like Andrew Yang does some CNN interview or whatever, and it's like 8 minutes, and there's like 2 people interviewing him, and then like you listen to him on Joe Rogan where he talks for like 2.5 hours, And, like, you learn so much more. It's got so many more viewers. Like, why does CNN matter at
I'm
all?
really thinking, why does any large TV news network, why do they still exist?
Yeah, it's crazy. And yeah, I actually genuinely think that they do have a huge sway with the
Oh yeah,
voters. Like,
yes, they have
it's,
an enormous sway, which
yeah.
is may be a problem in the sense of because they're not presenting such a big piece or such. They're not presenting someone credibly in terms of their views like Joe Rogan would because he has them on for a long time.
Yeah.
It just becomes impossible to figure out what's going on. So you just follow, like, if they have, we talk
Yeah.
about how images have such a power to sway. Like, if you show them in a good light, like good, just even with like good makeup on, so the light hits them properly,
And that's
that,
part of their plan. That's what they do. That's the
yeah,
process.
already probably gives them a couple extra votes.
I think the long form conversation thing is really interesting because there's this guy called Stefan Molyneux. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know. So I fucking hate this guy, and I've always
anarchist
hated
philosopher.
him. I just I look yeah fucking what is the world's leading philosophy. Shut the fuck up. I see his fucking head and I hate it. The
He
way
has
he
it in his
moves
Twitter
his
profile
mouth.
though.
He what?
He has it in his Twitter profile, leading philosopher.
Man, he's not a philosopher at all. Like, he's a fucking hack, is what he is. Like, how smug he is. He's, like, so smug, and he has nothing to be smug about. I don't fucking understand it. He can't even go bald with grace, this guy. Fucking hair growing out the side. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Shave that off. But I've always hated him, and I've never really known why. Like, he says fucking downright insane things, but he tosses it up in a word salad where it's like his sentence might simply be something like, "The reason why your dad is an asshole is not because he's an asshole. It's because your mother had sex with him." Like, that's what he's saying ultimately, but he'll dress it up in a sentence like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, it's because the maternal instinct aspect of your upbringing was correlated specifically with this like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the way that he talks,
Hmm.
and it's like, fuck you, man. But I listened to him on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan just brought all of his ideas like in front of him and was like, explain this, explain this. What do you mean by
Yeah.
this? Look at this. Why did you say this? And by the end of it, I was like, wow, he's just been like deconstructed as a like all of his power like seems to be gone right now because he can't
Yeah.
defend any of the stuff that he said
And it's
without.
weird because you understand, maybe not understand, but it's a better way to see where he's coming from, and then at the exact same time you see like, oh, but everything he's talking about would never work. Like, I
Yeah.
think he said like, so how do you identify yourself politically? I think he said like, I am by definition an anarchist,
Yes,
sense
that's
that I
right.
want everything broken down and start anew. And then he just goes, okay, so how would that work out? Well, you'd have like a bunch of people who like to live together, and one would be pretty good at making bread, so he'd take care of the bread for everyone.
Yeah.
And someone else would be, he'd be a bigger guy, so he could make sure that everyone behaves and protect people who need it and all that kind of stuff. He goes, so you want bakers and policemen, okay? And how do you make sure they give each other, that everyone gets their fair share? And he goes like, well, because we'll have other people who take care of some. And then he trails off into like essentially describing society as it currently is, except without using the word money.
He's like Dave Rubin on steroids. Like he doesn't like. I saw him. He did this mock debate with. Feel free to ask me why I fucking consume content exclusively of the people that I hate. But he did this mock debate with Lauren Southern to like. I don't know what I think he was maybe
Who's she?
preparing. Who is she?
Laura, she's blonde Trump girl, right?
That's right. Yeah, she used to write for Rebel Media, I
Oh yeah,
believe.
yeah, Rebel Me, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
I've blocked all these people from memory just after those 7 months of excruciating grief.
Yeah, nice. I am on that path. I just have some stuff that I need to because every time I talk about politics, well, not this isn't politics. This is shit that no one cares about, but it's also the most important issue of our time according to my
Yes.
YouTube recommendations, so I can't not fall into it. But I know that the people on the Midnight Hour tend to not actually care about this, but I also have to get it out of my system for once and for
For
all.
closure.
Yeah, exactly. But he was doing a mock debate with her where it was like she was going to serve him up questions and he'd be like, "Oh, well, that's easy. I would do this and then I would do this." See? And
Mm.
so she's like, "So in your society, could a 7-year-old buy heroin?" And he's like, Well, I think that if I was to answer that question, I would have to answer what the parents were doing to let this 7-year-old buy
Yeah,
heroin.
technically, I would not put any regulations against it, for that
Yeah,
is the meaning of anarchy. However,
yeah,
we should be questioning the societal values around that
right.
lead to this one decision happening. And it
And
may be
she
because your
kept,
father was an asshole and your
yeah,
mother had sex with
exactly.
him.
But she kept pressing like yes or no. It's a simple question, and he just wouldn't fucking answer. And I was like, this guy is such a fraud. I can't believe that he's fucking got so many people to believe his shit. Like it's fucking insane to me. Like he's just so. Oh, I don't know. He's disgusting. I fucking hate the man. He looks like a fucking snake or something like
Oh
that.
yeah,
But
he looks like is it called the cue ball in billiards and snooker, the white one?
yeah, the cue ball is the black one. I thought. Oh, maybe not.
The
I don't
white
know.
the white billiards ball. He looks like one of those that's been used for a long time.
Yeah, he does.
Fortunately. Hang on, are you familiar with the practice of nudging?
No, I don't. Well,
Conceptual, not physical.
um. So like on MSN back in the day, you used to be able to send nudges. No.
Not the one I'm quite referring to. No, it's stuff like using the simple like flaws in human thinking. A bunch of researchers, Richard Taylor, an economist, actually, he wrote a book about it and coined the term and everything.
Oh yeah, this is
Um,
who.
it's where he got a Nobel Prize for it in 2008 as well.
Somebody wrote a book. Cass Sunstein
Yeah,
talks
Sunstein and
about.
Taylor wrote it together. Nudge.
Okay, right. Yes, yeah. So this is nudging is, as I understand it, it's where you think someone should believe a certain thing, so you just gently nudge them towards that belief instead of trying to spell out an argument and convince them.
Yes.
You just make
Yes.
it seem true so that they believe it. Yeah.
And the important part is that you don't remove the possibility of doing the exact opposite of that belief. You see, so it'd be like one of the example studies they have is where they at a hotel buffet they put all the unhealthy stuff all the way at the end of the buffet, so people have to walk further to fill their plate with it. And the point is that they're going by stuff like fruit and like toast and jam, whatever, isn't as bad as what's at the end of the buffet. And the idea is that their plate will be so full by the time they get to the end that they turn around and just eat that, and therefore stay away from the unhealthy stuff. It's like small changes in like setup that could potentially alter their behavior for the better in the end without removing the alternative. So another example is the urinals at Schiphol Airport, which is the airport in Amsterdam. They all have little flies on the side in the urinal, and it's because
I've seen that.
Yeah, and it's because someone was so genius as to think if a dude is going to pee and he sees like a fake fly in the urinal, the male brain is, we're not that complex. We'll be like, let's pee on it.
Yeah,
And
wow.
therefore, people, like, I think I don't know how they quantified this, but the paper finishes with like, urine spillage was reduced by 98%.
Jesus Christ. That is actually what's so weird about you mentioning that is that I think like 2 weeks ago or something, I was on the bus home from work and I was trying to remember where I saw that. And I couldn't remember that it was a fly, but I knew that there was something in the urinal that I was pissing on. And I was like, where was that? Yeah, Amsterdam Airport. That's fucking insane.
That's like the little nudge. So I guess if you want to live according to Mr. Molyneux's anarchy thing, you'd have to like the 7-year-old should have the opportunity to buy heroin, but there should be a nudge mechanism in place that makes them not want to.
See, he's not even clever enough to say that though.
Yeah, which I mean, I think a lot of people who are in politics, they intuitively have a good understanding of human nature. I think in the sense that they know how to persuade people, they know how to present themselves confidently and properly.
Yeah.
And I think he may be missing that kind of understanding of how, not necessarily an understanding of how the human mind works, but like just social experience and seeing stuff like, yeah, people want to reciprocate, but if it comes at a cost to them, they won't. So if someone's doing a hard job, he won't. Like, so say you have a bread baker in his theoretical village, he's not going to want to give away his bread for free. It's that simple. He's going to have to get something in return for it, which is why the whole, I'll do this for the whole village doesn't really work. And you need a couple of regulations that kind of are measurements by which we can interact with each other.
Yeah, and it's also just beyond all of that it is incredibly funny to me that an anarchist who defines himself as an anarchist is fucking going crazy at the concept of open borders, and he's advocating for Trump's wall and all this stuff. It's like, it's very obvious what you're doing, Mr. Molyneux, and it is not intellectually honest, because it's pretty clear that you're not a real anarchist. It's pretty clear you're doing the whole Trump pandering thing for the views and the money, and going on this like fucking world tour presenting yourself as a philosopher. Oh, I used the Socratic method. Shut your man, I fucking hate that guy. He's just, sometimes you just hate someone like just by looking at them, like,
oh yeah, their face pulls
Yeah.
something out of you.
yeah, it's crazy.
Like sometimes someone's face it'll set me off, just to the point that if I remember walking into my very first class at this uni I'm about to leave, and just seeing this girl and just going like, oh, this is bad news. Real bad news.
Yeah.
I hate myself for judging her like that, but then it turned out that she was so fucking annoying that it confirmed. So I just let my intuitive judgments run free, which is an awful thing to do, but at the same time I was right. So
Yeah, I know. I have so many stories that are like very, very like that. I definitely judge people instantly, but I also am such a good judge of character that I don't really mind that I do it. I'm like, yeah. that makes sense.
I mean, I'll leave them the room to positively surprise me, but
Yeah.
first interaction usually starts off with me being like, okay, prove yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. Yeah, it's interesting. I should probably get going, but
Yeah,
do you? I was gonna ask if you had any questions for me. Like, I don't know if that's a vain thing to ask or whatever, but I know that you used to always ask when I had like Q&As and stuff.
I remember just spamming in my my very youthful days when I flirted with the concept of communism at some point, spamming you with the question, do you think communism could ever work, or are humans too inherently greedy? But I've grown beyond that question.
Yeah.
So
Did I
beyond
ever
that-
answer that for you at all?
No.
Yeah. I truthfully, I don't even know enough about it to be. I don't even think that I would be one of those people that's like, oh well, it's never really truly been tried. Like, I don't actually like the idea of it at all. The more I think about it, like, it's actually interesting because with communism particularly, I think when I was in college, I used to think it was a good idea with my limited understanding of it. But I remember I made
same
that.
boat.
Yeah, I remember I made a video about that. What if money didn't matter, or whatever.
Yes.
And I definitely said in that video that communism is bad, and that was in 2012. I made that, so I know that I've known this for a while, and that I've never actually I'd never call myself communist or whatever. But since I've only been like in my current career or whatever, I only started in this workforce in like 2015. And I've worked my way up so far so quickly, and like I earn so much more money than I did before or when I was doing YouTube, and I'm sort of like, the government's not fucking coming to take this from me. I fucking worked really hard for this.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here with that. I don't fucking want any, like, I don't know, it's kind of selfish on one level, but it's also like I fucking work so much harder than so many other people, and my salary is reflected as so like, I'm not fucking sharing that with people. Well, I share it with people that I love because I love them, you know.
Exactly, but beyond that, yeah.
Yeah, beyond that, I don't know. Fuck off. I've always said though that I like capitalism. There's a lot of things that I don't like about it, but it works, and that's something that I've always believed. So yeah, I don't know. I assume somebody has a soundbite of me saying I don't like it and we should try socialism.
You're about to be taken down.
I can qualify it and say that I think some areas of capitalism should be socialized. Like, I think prison systems should be socialized. I think healthcare should be socialized. I definitely like Scandinavia. I like the look of the socialist capitalism or capitalistic socialism or whatever the fuck it is. They do some things that I really like in there. So
I can tell you, Finland is a fantastic place.
yeah, it's awesome. I've actually been there.
Really? How'd you end up there?
I went to a wedding there. Let's
okay.
leave it at that, I guess.
Short answer, yeah.
It wasn't mine, but yeah, it was actually awesome. I got to see a fair bit of the countryside there too, and I got to see some of where it borders with Russia, and it was I don't know, really interesting to me because I've always been interested in, I don't know, the darkness and steeliness of Finland/Russia, if that makes sense. Like,
kind of like the aspect of just pure wild nature.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
into the woods
Yeah,
kind of thing.
the complete unknown about it, and how interesting it is that there is an unknown attached to so much known. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And just the surreal feeling of because again, short background to this. My girlfriend is half Finnish, half French.
Oh wow.
Her dad, grew up all over Southeast Asia as well, so that's another international kid case. But it's fantastic fun traveling, at least. The point is, her dad still goes back to Finland over the summer, and her family there has like a lake house because every Finnish family has a lake house.
Yes,
It's
I stayed at a lake house while I was
exactly
there.
with a sauna and a toilet that you poop in and then dump it in the woods because there's no flushing system, of course.
Okay, so it had the sauna part. It did not have the other thing though. It had like 4 functional toilets actually.
Okay, well you've missed out on traditional Finnish culture.
Yeah, of course.
And it's just like sitting on there. There's like a little dock attached to the lake house there, and just sitting there and looking out over the lake and like the woods on the other side. Looking like you can look to the left, look to the right. As far as the eye stretches, it's water and trees. There's no other person within like a 20-kilometer radius or something.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's
I
awesome.
mean, the country's like, I think there are 5.5 million people and like 3 million saunas or something in the country.
Yeah, and did you know this? For every 2,000 people in Finland, there is one metal band.
Really?
Yeah, I read it the other day.
Jesus Christ.
It's crazy. I mean, what else is there to do there? It's so sad and cold and dark.
No, well, that's the point. Like, they drink themselves to absolute fucking... Well, as the stereotype goes, I haven't seen it for myself quite yet, but I did arrive at Helsinki airport, go to the toilet, and see 2 empty, small little pocket vodka bottles on top of the toilet, so...
Jesus, really?
Yeah.
I tell you one thing about that place. The fucking price of a taxi...
Oh my god!
It's no wonder they fucking kill themselves. Like,
Yes.
I got a taxi from, like, the first... So I know there's a train station in Helsinki airport, but I didn't know that at the time, so I got a taxi to the next stop. It was like 7 minutes. It cost like €29. I couldn't fucking believe it.
Did you order like a can of beer? I ordered like a can, so 33 centiliters of beer during my layover at Helsinki airport, and it cost me €7.90.
Jesus fucking Christ, man.
€7.90. Like, that's why they all kill themselves there, because they can't drink to get rid of the depression, therefore you just... Yeah.
Yeah, that is insane. I think the wedding was actually what they did was drove to Tallinn in Estonia and just got like a grand worth of beer and brought it back.
Yeah, they definitely, that's a smart move.
Yeah. I Finland is great, but very, very expensive.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Dublin is not unexpensive itself, to be honest.
No, and I'm moving to London in August, so
Oh, really?
that's also going to be expensive and stupid and make me want to hurt myself in many ways, but you know, it's
getting in there while everyone else is getting out of there. It's a good strategy.
exactly, yeah. It's for the education, you know.
Are you going to university there?
Yeah.
Wow. Which uni?
University College London.
Oh,
I've gone
wow,
into
nice.
the business psychology program there.
Jeez. Man, that's fucking awesome.
I have no idea how.
I think you have some idea how.
Well, no, the point, like, I think it may just be part of growing up, because applying to get into the uni I'm in now, I graduated high school with average-ish grades, and so I should have not really gotten in, but I interview pretty well. I think you've talked about this a lot as well, how you can hold yourself in conversation, and that helps in interviews, so...
I definitely think that you would
yeah.
interview very well.
I interview well and I write well, so in a motivation letter I come across pretty good. It's just academically... I mean, yeah, as long as I find it interesting and good, but yeah, that's growing up. You kind of question, how the fuck did I get here?
Oh man, there's so much to be said for being able to hold a conversation. Like, if this was an interview, I would fucking hire you like 5 times over just because you're able to talk about so many things. Like, it's actually, it's weird for me because so many people have asked, can they talk to me in a call before, like listeners and whatever, and I'm not entirely comfortable with the idea because
you don't know what you're getting into, yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I'm uncomfortable taking compliments.
Oh yeah, I had a talk with myself like don't fucking fanboy. Just be cool. Be cool.
Wait till I have like 4 more beers and then you can start fanboying and I'll be totally fine with it. No, but like it's yeah, I never really know what to do because I guess like some people tell me stuff like the influence I've had on their lives and I don't know how to even I can't what's the word? I can't reconcile that with the person that I am. I'm like, what? Hold on, I did what? But I felt like to have a podcast with a listener would be a risk because it might be too esoteric and it might be too self-referential for the person who's talking to me. But I feel like this is like, I don't know, I don't really care how it holds up as an episode, but just as a conversation, this has been really, like, I definitely want to talk to you again. I definitely want to do this again because there's so much I feel like we didn't talk about that I wanted to talk about, and I feel bad now, but we also jumped from topic to topic. So
we've covered myriad things.
But no, I would definitely love to do this again, particularly to talk about like travel and the places that you've been to and stuff, because
I'd be down for that.
In the 45 seconds of prep I did before this episode, that was what I was actually planning on talking to you about. So,
well, kind of put you into the corner of having me back again.
Yeah, well, I would be delighted to because I think that would be good.
Love that.
I'd also love to hear from the listeners. What did you guys think? Simple as that. Let me know. I look forward to the 4 comments that we'll get. But yeah, thanks a lot, man. This has been really good.
Thank you. It's been great fun.
So there you have it, folks. It turns out it was Joe Rogan all along. Anyways, I really enjoyed that episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed it too. The song closing the episode is called The Pushover by a band called Idiot Pilot. They're one of my favorite bands ever. They had 2 albums and then they disbanded in 2010. They've just released their 3rd ever album. It's called Blue Bloods. Check it out on Spotify. I asked them for permission to use this song and they didn't reply, so I took that to be a yes. I really hope that I don't get sued for it. And I hope that you guys go and listen to the album, and you know, if it's not your thing or whatever, I'd encourage you to go back and listen to their album Wolves, because that is really, really cool. I'm still getting into Blue Bloods. There's a lot of tracks on it that I do like, and they also have this standalone track called The Tale of a Jet Black Swan, which I may have used on the podcast before, and they're just cool. So whatever, if you don't like it, you know, fucking you do you. That's important too. So there you go. I don't know when I'll be back. Hopefully soon. Who knows? I really miss this though. So I don't know. Let me know that you're out there. Peace.